Once upon a time, near the edge of a quiet river, there was a very, very, very tall tree. Now, this wasn't just any tree. No, no. This was a tree who had opinions. His name was Mr. High and Mighty. A name he gave himself, of course. And he was quite proud of the fact that he never, not once, bent for anything. Not for the wind, not for the rain, not for anything. He stood upright and uptight, with his bark neatly pressed and his leaves combed down to perfection. Below Mr. High and Mighty, far below if you ask him, lived a patch of reeds. Thin, green, giggly little things who lived in a jumbly little crowd right along the riverbank. They had no names, or at least not ones they announced loudly. And they didn't do much except dance in the breeze and occasionally wave at passing ducks. Now, here's the thing about these little reeds. They weren't very tidy, nor were they very tall. When the wind would blow one way, they'd lean in with it. When the wind would blow another way, they'd lean in that direction. To Mr. High and Mighty, this made them completely and utterly ridiculous. Bending and wobbling all day, he'd grumble, sounding like someone who had too many bird nests tickling his head. The reeds didn't respond. Not particularly because they didn't have anything to say, but really because they were too busy enjoying the breeze. And let's be honest, most things Mr. High and Mighty said weren't exactly invitations to chat. Still, the tree carried on, day after day, standing tall, critiquing his neighbors, and occasionally trying to puff out his bark to look even more important. He had even invented his own motto, which he repeated often and very dramatically. Better to break than to bend. Which, in case you're wondering, is a terrible motto, but no one had the heart to tell him. Now, one particular afternoon, something strange happened. The sky got very dark very fast. Clouds started gathering, the wind picked up, the birds zipped away, and the river started churning around the edges. A storm was coming, a big one. The reeds huddled together and whispered in their leafy little voices, "Here comes the storm." Mr. High and Mighty scoffed, loudly. He didn't believe in storms, at least not the kind that required him to do anything different. He noticed the breeze and stiffened. He puffed out his chest, his bark, straightened his branches, and stood even taller than usual. "Let it come," he muttered, digging his roots in deeper. "I'm not afraid of a little wind." He wanted the breeze to know he wasn't just any tree. He was the tree. The unbending, unshaking, unflinching Mr. High and Mighty. "I shall not bend," he declared to absolutely no one. "I shall not wiggle. I shall not flinch, flutter, or fidget. I am Mr. High and Mighty, and I will stand tall until the end of days. Thank you very..." Crack. Lightning. The wind did not wait for the speech to end. It swooped in like a hungry tornado and whipped across the riverbank. The reeds flattened in a graceful swoosh. They bent with the wind. They didn't panic. They never panicked. Mr. High and Mighty, however, panicked a lot. He held his breath. He clenched his twigs. He squeaked as the wind pushed harder and harder. He clenched even more. He groaned. He made sounds that should never come from wood. And then, with one final swoosh from the storm and one very dramatic snap, Mr. High and Mighty fell over. It was not a quiet fall, not a graceful fall either. It was a giant, crashy, boomy fall that flattened 3 dandelions and woke up a poor napping turtle. Mr. High and Mighty lay there, sideways and sulky, with his roots sticking up like wild hair, and his leaves flopped in all directions. The reeds, still gently swaying in the afterbreeze, peeked over at him, and the river, who had seen all of this many times before, chuckled softly and carried on. Days passed, the wind calmed, the sun came back, the birds returned, and decided to build a nest on the remains of Mr. High and Mighty, who was now officially known as Mr. Slightly Less High and Slightly Less Mighty. The end. So, what can we learn from this story? Well, this tall tree thought the reeds were so silly, and he stood stiff and proud, certain that he was the strongest of all. But when the storm came, his stiffness was the very thing that broke him. The reeds, small and quiet as they were, they bent with the wind, and that is what kept them safe. Did you know that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, once gave an example of a believer? He said, the believer is like a fresh green plant. The wind blows and it bends, but when the wind passes, it stands up again. But a stubborn person is like a tall tree, rigid and hard until it's uprooted. What does that mean? Well, it means that in life, we will face many storms, many hard days, many tough moments where things don't go our way. And if we stay too stiff and stubborn, those storms can break us inside, just like that proud tree. But if we stay gentle and patient and flexible, we can bend with those challenges and rise again when they pass, just like the reeds. But how do we do that? By being mindful in those hard moments. Like, let's say we lose a game. Instead of stomping away, we can take a breath, smile, and try again. Or when things just don't go our way, like not getting the turn we wanted or homework feeling too hard, we can stay gentle, patient, and look for a way forward. True strength isn't about being the tallest or the loudest. It's about how to be patient and how to keep on growing no matter what winds blow our way.